Hello and welcome back to a new lesson in the Farsi script. In today's lesson we are going to talk about the Dal and the Ra. Now for those two letters, it'll be kind of a short lesson today. So for those two letters we're going to start with a Dal. Now Dal is 2 points high. 1, 2. And for this we have two shapes. The first one has a perpendicular angle and the second one has a kind of an open angle. So we start with these 2 points, and from here we go into this direction like a 75 degrees sort of a hold of a pen, just like the dots, and you go down and you stop like this. So here you've got the shape that we have for the beginning of the Dal. Now there's another move that goes perpendicular to the first one. Now the second move you do with the tip of the pen. You don't use the full thickness of the pen. So for the first one we use the full thickness, and the second one we use the tip of the pen, and this way we get this shape of the Dal. So full, then tip. Now the inside would be a dot, as you can see here. It's not a big of a Dal, but it's quite simple if you practiced it. You simply go down, then you go back with a perpendicular angle. The perpendicularity is located between this and this. The second Dal is similar to this one, but the difference is that it's kind of more open. It's also 2 points high, but instead of doing the perpendicularity we do 1 and 2 would be going down, as we can see here. As you can see, this one is going down while this one is going to left, so this will be more of an open angle than the first one. And these are the two shapes of the Dals. If they come connected, if you recall when we did the Alif, we had to go back into this way. So you start here and you go back with an Alif. For the Dal you do the same move, but you cut it short. So you start here, you go back up, and you take this part, you come down here, and you continue it with the tip of the pen, just like this. This is a Nabira and a Dal, or a connected Dal. Now the end point of this, both of them, the Ba and the Dal, or the connection, the letter and the Dal, are sort of close to each other. So if you did a line here, you will notice that the Dal comes higher a bit, like just like this. It doesn't go below, or it comes out the same line. Meanwhile, if there was a Kshida connection, there was an elongation. For example, if we had a Ha, then a Ba, then a long Kshida connection, and then was a Dal. Here you have to go up more than the normal one, as you can see here. You basically go back to where you started here. Again, you've got a Ha or a Dal or whatever, and you started the Kshida, and of course the Kshida is 1 point low. And when you go up here, you take wherever you came from, and that's where the Dal would sort of end. So for the Kshida, the Dal ends higher than normal, as you can see here. Now in Farsi, they sometimes write the end of a word with a Dal Ha in some of their words. Now for Farsi, there's a special case for the Dal Ha case. When they connect, so you've got the same move, it's all the same move at the beginning, you just do this, and then you drop 2 points. And for these, you start as if you were doing like a noon shape. You go all the way down to here, you rotate and you use the tip of the pen to write a ha. So that is basically a dal connected to a ha, and this one has to go back to here. So you've got the move, then you go down for the 2 points, you rotate, and when you come back you do a small ha at the end of it. But you rarely see it in Arabic script. It's a Farsi Persian thing. Now next we are going to talk about the ra. The ra is also 2 points high. And for the ra we have two shapes. The first one is to give us thin line at the beginning, then take 1 point from this line and you finish the ra with a thick part like this. So you give it a thin, then you give it a thick, just like this. The first part would be thin due to the move with the cut that you're holding the pen with. Then the second part would be to go to the left and rotate the pen, as we talked about before. Or you go down, you go to the left and you stop and you draw this with the tip of the pen, just like this. It's close to the ruqa one, except that the first part is a bit longer. Now there's another shape for it. Now this shape of course is like a bird's belly, bird's tummy. The second shape would be to imagine that you're holding the pen with this angle and you won't move with the cut. You will have to go slightly to the left so that it will give you a slight thickness to the line, as you can see here. There's a difference between the thickness here and if it was moving with the cut itself. This is very thin, this one has a bit of a thickness to it. And for this one, it's the same thing, 2 points high. You're going to the left with the hold of the pen, then you rotate and you make the shape of the ra. Again, with 1 point reserved here so that it won't be shallow. There's also the normal one that you would use for, literally it's just a ruqa one. It looks like a banana and it's 2 points wide. Now when you connect a ra, there's something about that. You have several shapes. The first one, the one that looks like a ruqa one. So let's imagine that you're coming from here with whatever the letter was before it, and you take from this point, from this line 1 point, and from the other one another point. So now you have an orientation and a box to write the remaining of the ra in. Here you would go down and you would do the same thing that we did before. You're going down, then you give the tip of the pen to draw the ra letter. It's very thin and shallow. And like the ruqa one would be really big, really thick, would be very big. But in the Farsi, it's all about the delicate transition between thick lines, thicknesses, thick parts of the words, and the thin parts. For example, here, here, and everywhere. And that's what shows the beauty of this script. The second shape would be, actually it's way more beautiful. Now you would use it if you had a letter that is going upward. For example, if you had a sad and a ra, or a ba and a ra, so you have nabirat. Let's see how it looks like first. So imagine that here you've got the whatever before it. You curve up, and of course you've got 2 points down here. And you would go down just like the tail of the mouse. Very thin shape. So you go up, you go down, it's thin, then it comes thicker to the left and it's still thin. So focus here, you've got really thick, really thin, some thickness, then thin. That's just something that you would learn with time. Let's write it with sad. Sad, you use some thickness of the pen, then you come back here and you switch to the other shape, the other angle, then you go down with the ra. It basically looks like one of those really young frogs, if you know what I mean. The cycle life of a frog. It's very thin, it's very shallow, but it's pretty. And again, you double check that this is 2 points. Finally, we've got the shape that comes with the Kshida. Now this one is called a dagger ra, and with the Kshida we use the dagger ra. So if, for example, if we had a scene in a ra, we have this long scene and it goes up, stops here. You take 1 point down from here. Now keep in mind that this 1 point actually has another point on top of it. So this will give you the full thickness of the ra from this side. So we did the Kshida. Now all you have to do is to transfer the pen down to this point and start doing your dagger ra, just like this. So again, with a dagger ra, you basically move and rotate. You rotate the pen around your finger, but you make sure to go back and watch the Roga script, because these moves I talk about in more, let's say, primary scripts, because that's where you should learn them. You shouldn't learn them here. But yeah, this is the Dal and Ra. Now you should practice them with Ha, for example. So you've got Hadid and Harir. For Hadid, we are going to use the Ha that we talked about that goes high, like this. And you'd go down with the Dal. And the Ya, then another Dal. And you would put the dots down here. Now for Harir, you will actually have to use a different Ha. This is just to remind you of what we talked about last lesson. For Harir, we have this Ra. We have this Ha that goes half, then from half to full, then goes back full, and it takes this Ra we talked about here. And for the Ya, we are going to use this Ya. For example. And you would put the 2 dots here or down there. So these are the letters for today. Quite a short lesson. Thought that would be better to make it shorter this time, so that you would have time to review the previous ones and to be able to not forget these letters, because the more I put into one lesson, I think it'd be harder for you to take notes. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and check the other lessons, and share this channel with anyone that you know that wants to learn Arabic calligraphy. See you in the next video. Goodbye.